Over 1,600 foreign students have gone missing at a Japanese university. NHK has obtained audio of the school's former president floating the idea of using them as a source of income.
俺は2000人ぐらい集めると今の勝手な試算だけど120億入るそういうだろうかこのアイデアそしたらガバチョウは力に行くんじゃん
The Japanese government came up with the 300,000 foreign students plan as a means of securing highly skilled professionals, but the reality has turned out to be very different. A source close to a Japanese language school showed NHK some internal files. They show how the school targeted foreign students as a source of labor.
It's a school in name only. It fails to function as an educational institution.
Many foreign students are too tired to study because they also work part-time jobs.
Before, I thought Japan is heaven, but when I got here, everything turns into hell.
What's really going on behind the surging number of foreign students in Japan?
Tokyo's Shin-Okubo district is a vibrant neighborhood that attracts people from around the world. Many foreign residents trying to find their feet visit this building deep in an alley. Foreign students come here from early in the morning until late at night to ask for advice. A growing number of them have enrolled as research students at the Tokyo University of Social Welfare. Tapa Lil is from Nepal. He spoke about the conditions he faced at the school.
How did your studies go?
There was no future for me, even if I had stayed on as a research student. More than 1,600 students who attended the Tokyo University of Social Welfare went missing over a 3-year period. A government inquiry found that the university's administration of the foreign research student body was inadequate. It was instructed to improve its practices. One of the objectives of the government's 300,000 foreign students plan is to attract and nurture highly skilled professionals. Foreign students normally study at Japanese language schools first, and, depending on their proficiency levels, advance to universities or vocational schools. Amid the surge in international students, the Tokyo University of Social Welfare created its own category of research students who would study for 1 year on the pretext of preparing for university. Unlike other departments, the research course had no fixed quota, and applicants were easily accepted after quick resume checks and interviews. Tapa's dream is to become an IT engineer. He hoped that a year of study as a research student would open the way for college. He forked out about $3,200 in fees and tuition for the first 6 months. But the quality of education fell far short of what he had expected. The class used mass-market textbooks written for native Japanese speakers. The foreign students were told to read them aloud, even though they had no idea what they were saying.
It was very hard. The teachers didn't check whether we understood. Everything was one-sided. They didn't even try to explain when we couldn't follow.
Tupper realized he had little chance of advancing to college if he continued. He dropped out after half a year.
I came to Japan to study. I feel sad. My image of Japan has also changed.
We continued our investigation, and we found the facilities for research students were completely inadequate.
Which department are you in?
I'm a research student.
An international research student?
Yes.
This student joined the research course in April. He showed us where he studies.
This building,
Here?
on the upper floor.
You study here in this place?
No, not there. Up the stairs.
Up there.
35 students.
35 students in one classroom and in a building with a sign that says it's a public bath?
How did the students get into such a situation? The university administration created this video to recruit international students. Six years ago, the university had only 5 research students. The number had risen to 2,656 as of last year.
なぜ毎年こんなに卒業生が多いのでしょうか。それは魅力のある大学だからです。なぜ魅力のある大学なのでしょうか。それは良い大学だからです。
Former President Tsuneo Nakajima is said to have pushed for recruiting more students from abroad. Japan's declining population is hitting universities particularly hard. In a recording, Nakajima says research students would help his school overcome this.
俺は2000人ぐらい集めると思う。2000人いけると思う、これで。この4年間やらない、上手やらない。今の勝手な試算だけど、100人以上入る。ガス代だ、電気代だ、ちまちまケチってやってても、しょうがないんだって。こうやるしてやって、こうやったらこれだけ銭が儲かる。よその大学どこもやってないの？遠いだろ、お前、この相手。そしたらガバチョガバチョからやってんじゃん。
This man taught international students at the university until last year. He says the academic environment for research students became lax as the school began accepting more of them.
Basically, we accepted almost everyone who wanted to enter as a research student. We took them all without realizing how this looked. Frankly speaking, we were extremely busy. There were some students who stopped showing up, so we spent a lot of time checking on them.
We went to Nakajima's house to ask for an interview.
We'd like to ask Mr. Nakajima about what happened at the Tokyo University of Social Welfare.
The light was on, but no one came to the door. The university said the increase in the number of research students is unrelated to private remarks made by the former president. It said it would stop soliciting such students, while it looks to improve its management. What's behind the problem?
A revised immigration law that came into effect in April has highlighted the issue of how to bring in more foreign workers. Many of the same challenges are also emerging with foreign students. Behind this is Japan's 300,000 foreign students plan, which the government aims to realize by 2020. The plan is to have foreign students advance from Japanese language schools to universities and vocational schools. The goal is to produce highly skilled professionals who can contribute globally. To achieve this, the government has called for settings that make it easy to study and simpler enrollment screening. But as we saw in the video, this hasn't been the case.
NHK conducted a survey of foreign students enrolled at the Tokyo University of Social Welfare. In response to the question, "Why did you become a research student?" about 70% said they wanted to study. This includes those who said they want to eventually advance to university. Asked why they thought so many research students disappeared, 46% said classes were too hard to understand, and 18% cited inadequate teaching or facilities.
Shoichi Ibusuki is a lawyer who's been accepting consultations from foreign students. Mr. Ibusuki, is the issue particular to Tokyo University of Social Welfare?
It isn't. A crucial point is that the government didn't carry out checks on these problem universities and schools and left them to handle the problems themselves. I believe similar things are happening at other institutions.
Can you elaborate?
Well, foreign students aren't allowed to work more than 28 hours per week. But in reality, that's not enough to cover living expenses and tuition. They have to work much longer than that. And as a result, many of them end up too tired to study. Also, the schools clearly haven't prepared adequate educational programs. I don't think this is just the Tokyo University of Social Welfare we're talking about.
The problem at the Tokyo University of Social Welfare has led the government to adopt new policies. The Education Ministry has instructed the university to stop accepting new research students, and the Justice Ministry is rejecting applications for the issuing of student residency status. As for other schools, the Education Ministry says it will consider carrying out hearings and on-site surveys.
There have been cases in the past in which university and vocational school students have gone missing, and problems were cited at the institutions they were accepted to. Professor Sato, where did things go wrong for the government's 300,000 foreign students plan?
The scheme was laid out in 2008, and at the time it was in line with Japan's plan to accept highly skilled foreign workers. The aim, in other words, was to accept bright students. It was expected that 70 to 80% of these students would come from China and South Korea, countries that use kanji characters. But after the massive earthquake and tsunami in 2011, these people from neighbouring countries either went home or decided not to come. Japanese language schools faced a crisis. So they started recruiting students from non-kanji countries like Vietnam and Nepal. The selling point was, students with limited resources can study in Japan by working part-time to pay for tuition and living expenses. Young people from Vietnam, Nepal and other non-kanji countries started flocking to Japan. harboring dreams of higher education. But since they came from non-kanji countries, they needed much more time to learn the language. They studied while working part-time, and as we saw in the video, they were too tired during the day to focus on their studies. Students are only allowed to enroll in Japanese language schools for up to 2 years. Then they take a proficiency test, but many fail to pass the N2 level required to take university classes in Japanese. The Tokyo University of Social Welfare gave these students another option. And it wasn't the only institution to accept them before they are ready to receive expert education.
That's what's led to the current situation. Problems involving foreign students are coming to the fore throughout the country. And the reason for this is that Japan has to rely on them as a source of labor.
Here in Fukuoka, Western Japan, the number of Japanese language schools has nearly doubled in the past 10 years. Foreign students begin gathering outside a train station late in the afternoon. They soon leave on buses, chartered by companies offering part-time jobs.
I'll work from 8 to 5.
5 in the morning? Don't you have school tomorrow?
Yes, I do. I'm busy, so it's tough.
The buses head to warehouses and bento box lunch factories that operate around the clock. Why do these students work all night if they have class in the morning? Many of them are already in debt when they arrive in Japan because of the thousands of dollars they have to pay to enroll in language school. And once they're in the country, they need thousands more to cover the following year's tuition. A former language school employee told us how the school served as a job broker. He says he was under strict orders from the school manager to collect tuition, no matter what. He showed us a list the school used to keep a track of student income.
These are their names. The ones highlighted in green have multiple jobs.
The list included workplaces, hours, and paydays. The school connected them with factories and restaurants so they wouldn't fall behind on tuition payments.
The ones highlighted in red are out of work, which means the school can't get money from them. Finding the students jobs was given a higher priority than teaching them Japanese. In the school's eyes, the students were simply moneymakers. They were cogs in the wheel.
NHK obtained footage showing students slumped over their desks, fast asleep during class. Japanese law caps the hours foreign students can work at 28 per week, but this isn't fully enforced. The schools are required to instruct their students to follow the law, but our source said employees turned a blind eye.
The school didn't check. It chose to look the other way. It's a school in name only. It wasn't functioning as an educational institution.
We met a student who found life in Japan to be far different from what she expected and sees little hope for her future.
How many people live here?
There are 2 of us.
And how much is rent?
$370.
Chan arrived from Vietnam last year and studies at a Japanese language school. She has 2 part-time jobs, at a food packaging plant and a convenience store. She sometimes works more than the 28-hour limit, but after paying tuition, she's left with little money to spare.
How much do you have right now?
About $9.
How long does it have to last?
A week.
Chan hopes to go to college and find a regular job, but she's too busy with her part-time work. She's made hardly any progress with her Japanese.
I want to become an interpreter, but I'm not confident. I'm worried about my future.
Chan keeps a toy with her that she brought from Vietnam.
I squeeze it when I feel lonely. I miss my country.
What can we do to help foreign students focus on their studies? The town of Higashikawa in the northern prefecture of Hokkaido welcomed 26 foreign nursing care students to a local vocational school this spring. The number of students has risen sharply thanks to a scholarship program the town introduced in April. The students are offered about $52,000 in grants for their 2 years of study. 80% of the scholarship is covered by state subsidies. The rest is shouldered by Higashikawa and 3 other towns. When Higashikawa was faced with an acute shortage of caregivers, its solution was to spend taxpayer money.
People might ask why we offer funds to foreign students only. But everyone needs care at the end of their lives. We need to train people because it's a service everyone needs.
Nguyen Van Nam is from Vietnam. He decided to study at the school because the scholarship program covered tuition and living expenses. Recipients of the scholarship agreed to work at certain nursing facilities in Hokkaido for at least 5 years after obtaining certification.
I study 10 to 11 hours a day. Without the scholarship, I'd have to work part-time. Thanks to the program, I'm able to enjoy myself.
The town has to rely on foreign students to make up its workforce. Recently, the town and other bodies, including the vocational school, held a recruiting seminar abroad for the first time.
本当に日本はこの介護の仕事をする人たちがたくさん必要です。2年間の介護の勉強の時はアルバイトをしないで勉強に集中してもらいたいと思います。
What needs to be done to make sure foreign students can study without worry? Let's find out.
In the video, the former school employee calls international students moneymakers and cogs. This makes me angry and ashamed. How do you feel?
International students shouldn't be preyed on as a source of labor. The scholarship program in Hokkaido does have them agree to work, but it also provides financial aid and allows them to study without any worries. There should be more systems like this. If students are too busy working to study, then the system is failing.
But the whole idea of accepting students from abroad to make up for a labor shortage, I'm not sure how I feel about this.
I personally think it's okay, as long as the students aren't taken advantage of.
Last month, a student from the Philippines sued a Japanese language school. She says she told the school she wanted to quit her job because she was forced to work over the 28-hour weekly limit. She says the school told her to go back to her country. Mr. Ibusuki, you were consulted on the case. What do you think is needed to allow international students to focus on their studies?
As I've mentioned, there needs to be a support system. These students need access to outside services, particularly consultation. The Filipino student's case made it to court because she went to a non-profit organization called POSE for help. But this is rare. Most students just put up with their situations. There need to be consulting services so these students know what they can do.
The services should be offered at places other than where students study and work. These are 3 points that Professor Sato says are key to addressing the issue. The first one is check the quality of education. What exactly does this mean?
There is no system to check the quality of education at the university in question, and also over 70% of Japanese language schools that aren't recognized as school corporations. We need to prevent these unregulated schools from preying on students to make money.
The second is similar to what Mr. Ibusuki just said, and the third is improve support systems for schools and students. Where is support falling short?
It's necessary to help educational institutions that aren't recognized as school corporations to raise the quality of their education. These institutions aren't eligible for government support like subsidies and tax incentives. There are few scholarships and tuition waiver programs available to students of Japanese language schools, and they also struggle to get by due to their poor Japanese skills, so they need support. Corporate groups and municipalities that want to hire international students in the future should offer scholarships like Higashikawa Town.
During my recent trip to Vietnam, I found that there's a bad image of Japan spreading through social media. But I still felt like many people in Vietnam want to study in Japan.
Professor Sato, how should we deal with the issue?
International students are very important because they serve as a bridge between their home countries and Japan. It's important to take care of them, make them like Japan, and help them sharpen their skills before they go back home.
Thank you.